This woman was shot in her own home in a small town in South Dakota, and two 15-year-olds are being charged. This is the story of Nicole Klitsch. Does anybody notice that I switched up my filming setting? Now we have a cute little Christmas tree. Quick disclaimer that I'm just a girl, I'm not a lawyer, and all this information is publicly available. Nicole Klitsch, also known as Nikki, was a 41-year-old woman who lived in Huron, South Dakota. She was remembered by everyone who knew her as kind-hearted, loyal, and the type of person that would always lend a helping hand to others. She was funny, honest, real, and never afraid to speak her mind, but always with good intentions. And in her community of Huron, South Dakota, Nikki was known as dependable and down-to-earth. After her passing, coworkers and neighbors described her as, quote, the heart of the place. Someone who could make anyone laugh and someone who genuinely cared about everyone around her. On the morning of May 9th, 2024, law enforcement responded to a call about a shooting on 10th Street and Minnesota Avenue in Huron. Authorities got to the scene and quickly confirmed that Nikki had passed away from multiple gunshot wounds, and a big investigation was launched. Authorities temporarily evacuated the apartment complex building that Nicole had passed away in. The case was then transferred from the Beadle County to the Brookings County due to a conflict of interest with the newly appointed Beadle County State's Attorney. So over the next few months, attorneys gathered evidence, interviewed witnesses, processed the crime scene, and prepared hopefully for a prosecution. On May 14th, investigators identified one 15-year-old male suspect, and then a month later on June 13th, they identified another female suspect. The female suspect was also 15 years old. So let me get this straight. A 41-year-old mother who is loved by her entire community gets shot multiple times by two 15-year-olds? Make it make sense, because it doesn't. Allegedly, both of the teens knew Nikki, but prosecutors have not released how or what that relationship was. Nor have they publicly released the motive for Nikki's passing. Because both of the 15-year-olds are juveniles, the case began in juvenile court. But the state attorney said that they intend to transfer it to an adult court and hold an adult trial. Say it with me, adult crimes get adult punishments. Thank you. So thankfully, in December of 2024, both juveniles pleaded guilty to first-degree, and both were sentenced to 25 years in prison. Friends and coworkers of Nikki remember her as funny, honest, dedicated, and caring. They said that she was a strong mother, someone who valued her family and the community in Huron. In interviews, they emphasized remembering Nikki for her good and not just the tragedy of how she passed away. Nikki Klitsch was full of love, hope, and she cherished her community. Her life was taken suddenly, and her friends, her family, and the city was left with a crime that no one ever expected could happen. That is everything I have on this case. Again, I would love to know the relationship between the two teens and Nikki, and how the two teens knew each other and how they knew Nikki. It's just never been released to the public, but I feel like that's a big chunk of this puzzle that's missing for me, because none of it makes sense. Like I said, a woman loved by her community, family, and friends, and then all of a sudden two teenagers decide that they get to take that away from her. A lot of crime doesn't make sense to me, but this one really, I'm like, there's gotta be a missing puzzle piece that I can't find in my research. So let me know what you think about this case in the comments. I post true crime videos, so if you like this type of content, follow so you don't miss my next video. And please stay safe out there, because you never know what's right around the corner. This case has an entire country outraged, and no one wants to believe the results of the investigation. This is the case of Dr. Bon Zayed Tariq. Quick disclaimer that I'm just a girl, I'm not a lawyer, and all of this information is publicly available. Dr. Bon Zayed Tariq, and I'm so sorry if I'm saying that wrong, I'm trying my hardest on pronunciation here. She was a 26-year-old psychiatrist from Basra, Iraq. She was known as caring, professional, and passionate, beloved by her patients and respected by her colleagues. Having studied medicine at the University of Basra, she specialized in psychiatry and psychotherapy. Her work made her a strong advocate for mental health, especially in Basra. Her patients said that she made them feel seen. Her friends said she lit up every room, and her family called her their pride and joy. On August 4th, 2025, Bon was found unalived in her home in Basra. Early reports showed that her body exhibited multiple cuts and bruises. Bon had worked in psychiatry, a field already stigmatized by parts of Iraq. Some believed that she was silenced because of her profession, her independence, or simply because she was a woman who dared to live boldly. while others think she was a target because she spoke out against injustice and violence. The public was shocked not just by her passing, but how it all looked. People started noticing discrepancies in the stories. Her mother said that she had been under a lot of pressure at work, and authorities initially suggested that it was a self-unaliving. But her passing rapidly became a national controversy. Activists, colleagues, feminist groups, and ordinary citizens demanded transparency within this case and the investigation. Photos leaked online showing bruising and alleged facial marks, and there were reported problems with her surveillance cameras. The Iraqi Prime Minister ordered a full investigation, and a forensic committee was formed. A suspected family member was detained and questioned at one point, but was eventually ruled out. Investigators reviewed Bond's medical history, her psychiatric treatment, and even text messages found on her phone. Among these messages were ones where she reportedly was saying things like, quote, "I'm tired, I want to rest, I want to go," end quote. Then on August 18th, 2025, the Supreme Judicial Council of Iraq announced that her passing was officially ruled as a self-unaliving. The final forensic report said that she had self-inflicted cuts on both wrists, significant bleeding, and no evidence of defensive injuries, no evidence of SA, strangulation, or poisoning, and the fact that toxicology reports lined up with their self-unaliving hypothesis. All of this was published, but some people still believe that her case was manipulated so that it could quickly be closed. Many people still refuse to believe this final verdict. They argue that someone in her position, a young woman respected in her field with no prior signs of self-harm and no history of depression. They say that the wounds are too severe, the bruising is too widespread, and the camera footage suspiciously disabled is something that should be looked at more. And the public is demanding another independent investigation into the case. Her passing has ignited many protests in Iraq, Basra, Baghdad, Kirkuk, and beyond, with people shouting for truth, transparency, and justice. She is remembered not just as a victim, but as a healer, a fighter, and now she is a symbol of resilience. Her friends and patients still speak out about her kindness, her family still calls for the truth, and her community continues to demand answers. That's everything I have on this case. I would love to know your thoughts and theories on this one in the comments. I post true crime videos, so if you like this type of content, follow so you don't miss my next video, and please stay safe out there because you never know what's right around the corner. This woman tried to poison her husband by slowly pouring bleach in their coffee machine. I want to give a quick disclaimer that I am just a girl, I am not a lawyer. All of this information is free and accessible to everyone on the internet. If you personally know more about a case than I do, please just politely correct me in the comments if any of this information is incorrect. Please don't be mean to me. Thank you. In July of 2023, Melody Johnson was arrested in Tucson, Arizona after her husband, an active duty member of the U.S. Air Force, caught her trying to poison him. It all started while they were living in Germany while he was stationed there. He started to know something off about his coffee. It tasted strange.